Hi everyone, welcome to week 2. So hopefully by now you've introduced yourself and you've gotten acquainted with our Blackboard course shell. So you know where everything is and what's coming up next. If you're still having trouble navigating it, just email me and let me know and we can walk through it together either through email or on the phone. Last week we talked about breastfeeding in public. And I think when you looked deeper at that topic, there were a lot of different aspects that made arguing for one side or the other a little bit difficult. Like she was in a church and there were other areas she could go, but at the same time, if your baby's hungry, right? But I'll be really interested in looking at your thoughts and reading over what you had to say when I grade your writing samples this week. So now we're going to start moving toward our first essay. And the first essay is going to be a rhetorical analysis. Rhetoric refers to the ways that people argue. So a rhetorical analysis basically occurs when we're analyzing or examining or discussing the way another author argues. And I assign a rhetorical analysis so that we can talk about how somebody else argues, and then we can kind of apply some of those things to our own writing. So what techniques worked, what techniques didn't, what can I learn from how other people structure their arguments? For example, does a person talk in a reasonable tone? I can guarantee you that with some of the writing samples that I provided for you, some of the articles, they do not. Many of them have kind of an argumentative tone or a sarcastic tone. And I really want you to think about, does that work? Are they actually convincing people using that tone, or are they only convincing people who are already kind of on their side? Do they have valid evidence to support their points? There may be somebody that you agree with in this set of readings who doesn't really have a whole lot of evidence. There's one author who's writing just from her personal point of view, and she's telling you about her personal experiences. So her personal experience is valuable, but she might not really have the statistics or the facts and figures that some of the other authors have. So those are some things to look for. Are they biased toward one side or the other? There's a difference between arguing and being biased. Being biased means that you're not even considering the other side. You're twisting facts and information to fit your point of view. And I tried to provide you with some things that were a little bit biased, just so we could kind of talk about that. So in this unit, we're going to be looking at the Boy Scouts of America. The organization was founded in 1910. In 2018, they voted to allow girls into the Cub Scouts. And then in 2019, at the end of 2019, I think it was November, girls were allowed fully in the Boy Scouts of America program, and it was rebranded BSA to kind of take the boy out of Boy Scouts. I don't have anything for you from the Girl Scouts of America, but if you're interested, look that up because it's kind of interesting what they have to say about why they think that girls should just be in the Girl Scouts. Something else that might not be in your readings is the fact that the organization was really struggling from dwindling membership. So not a lot of kids interested in scouting, a lot of things taking up more time. So if you think about what you did as a kid, travel sports teams, or even if you're a little bit older, what your kids are doing, travel sports teams, competition dance, those things take up time. A lot more kids have a lot more homework than they did 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And other activities that they might be in. But the other thing is that the Scouts had a really large problem with child sexual abuse cases from 1965 to 1985. And much like the Catholic Church, they had to pay out a lot of people, really over 1,200 children. And so because of, and also legal cases are still going on today. Most were prosecuted around 2012. In October of 2012, there was a large case that prosecuted a lot of them. So because of that, they made this decision in part because of equity, but there were also logistical reasons that they needed more people. And admitting girls allowed them to have bigger numbers. But even if you look around today, There's a Boy Scout camp really near me, near Ballston Spa rather, that I moved recently. Sorry. It's near Ballston Spa that just closed because the numbers and the problems with money. So it's really an interesting issue, and I'm excited to see what you think of these readings. As I said, some are really biased, some have an inflammatory tone, others have really interesting evidence, historical background information, logical statements, facts and figures, and personal experience. So there's 4 lectures. I know that that's a lot for this week, but this unit, sorry, rather, I recommend watching the first 2 lectures this week. And then next week you can watch the other 2, but if you want to watch them all at once, that's up to you, just as long as you do watch them. They're enabled for statistics tracking, so I can see who viewed them and who hasn't. So that's it for this week. I talked a little longer than I intended, but at least you have some background on the issue. And if you have any questions or concerns, just let me know. Thanks.